Budgeting is not going to be good enough. It just constrains the amount of money you're spending. It doesn't really do too much. What we need is a financial projection. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys. Budgeting is not going to be good enough. It just constrains the amount of money you're spending. It doesn't really do too much. What we need is a financial projection. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys this year. What we're doing is limiting the amount that you spend and just like, okay, I've spent less here, spend more here, but it's not a holistic approach, right? So financial projections take into account your income, your expense, and only when you know those two, you can figure out how much you're going to save. So I'm going to be running through with you financial projections for 2025. And once you roughly build a template just like us, it would make so much sense. Like once you do this, like you can't go back. Like you will do this every year and you would update it throughout the year. Like it just gives you a lot of security, especially if you're someone who is self-employed like me. So first of all, who am I? I am a content creator. I create videos for my own platform. We do it on TikTok, we do it on Instagram, we do it on YouTube as well. We make money from there. Sometimes you do see sponsors, we do get paid for that, but it's only like a small portion of our income. The large portion is agency work, so just think of that as me running a business and I'm creating content for people's own channel. I am not inside. I may appear as like an extra because we just need to fill people in, but it's more of like a production house kind of thing. And then we also have like other like collaborative projects that does not necessarily have to do with our channel specifically. So our income is kind of spread out that way, multiple sources of income. And so like for me, financial projections just make a lot more sense because I need to calculate how much income I'm going to get before I can kind of plan out my year. And if I don't have this, number one, I would either put too small a budget or two, put too large a budget. Like sure, I can tap onto my savings and move things around, but I don't know if my savings are gonna empty out because I never projected my income. So I need to be able to roughly tell how much my income is before I can really plan out my expense, which is where more of the budgeting comes in. But again, I'm just gonna dive right into the 2025 financial projections and you guys will totally understand what I'm talking about. Alright, so I am now on my computer and I'm just gonna run through with you guys like what this financial projection is. So 2025 financial projections, this is the dashboard. Okay, just in case you guys can't see, I'm just gonna be really zooming in into each portion right now. So the dashboard is over here, which shows me my yearly income and monthly income and the year. And then I have the expense portion, which shows me my yearly expense, the monthly variable and monthly fixed and sinking funds. And so how this is calculated is by taking this, and this, and then you get your yearly expense. So that's roughly how it's calculated. And then the savings is calculated based on your yearly income minus your yearly expense. Now, all of this is not keyed in. As you can see, these are all formulas. So all of this is automated, which is why I love Notion so much. It looks good and so many things are automated. And on the left, you can see this little dashboard. It just looks nice. It's pretty much the same information, but looking at this on your mobile phone using Notion is not as easy. So like this is like just a much nicer way to look at it. We have the monthly view and the yearly view as well. So let's quickly jump over to income projections. I'll just zoom in a little bit more. So under the income projections, you can see the total income. And I have my yearly and monthly one over here. And I am estimated to make $12,000 a month, which is $144,000 a year. And right here, this is my input. So this is, again, automated, right? Where am I getting this from? It's from here. So this is my input. From agency, I'm averaging about $3,000 a month. From sponsorships, I'm averaging about $4,000 a month. And from collaborations, which is not sponsorships and it's not agency work, it's kind of, just think of it as like UGC, whereas agency work is kind of like me create like a production house. So production house and like UGC style work. And the recurrence is in monthly. So I'm making about $12,000 a month. And that's where this comes in over here. So this is CPF. CPF, for those of you who are not Singaporean, is kind of like forced savings. A certain amount of your income is taken out to put into this account run by the government, which you can only use for housing, your kids' education, and for hospitalization or medical fees. So you're forced to save it. But as a self-employed person, you can kind of choose whether or not you want to contribute to it, which I will be contributing. But like that's a separate topic for a separate discussion. Basically, once you take this, it takes into account your CPF contribution. And as you can see, the monthly income in terms of cash has gone down every time you tick or uncheck the CPF box. So as a Singaporean, that's really helpful. Over here, there's like the summary tab, which I use to see like the yearly or monthly income. So I normally leave it on the summary tab because I feel like the inputs don't change so much. So the summary tab is where I'm usually at. And so that's where the income projections kind of come in. Now let's look at the expense and budgeting section, which is where things kind of get interesting, right? So we have the yearly, monthly, variable, fixed, and sinking funds, right? So that's how I break down my expense. And all this again are formulas based on what I input here. So the first thing is always sinking funds or big ticket expenses, things that I know that I will be spending on this year. So insurance has to be paid, taxes have to be paid. I'm going to EDC Thailand tomorrow, so that's $600. I'm going to Japan for a hike, and I'm going to Japan for a ski trip, and I budgeted like another $1,600 for a spontaneous escape. So basically, if I just want to go somewhere, I'm tired of life, I just want to travel somewhere, I budget about $1,600 for me to just fly randomly to somewhere and enjoy life, basically. And of course, wedding, that's also kind of fixed. All right, then we go on to the monthly budgeting. So we have variable and fixed. So for variable, I think F&B, I put 450. Again, it's not fixed. Some months it's a little bit more, some months it's a little bit less, but I feel like 450 is a decent amount. And I have $300 for shopping. Now, shopping can be things for like my tech, my new camera, or like fans and like microphones, which I'm using right now. All these little things are all under shopping. I budget about $300 a month. Transport is about $150. The reason why mine is $150 is because I don't need a concession pass. I don't leave the house that often, so I don't travel out every single day, and I don't really take cabs a lot. But this allows me to take public transport for most days and like cab around once or twice a month. And then miscellaneous is things like haircut or like buying random things that I didn't budget for. That's like $80. My haircut is not $80, so I have a bit of a buffer. Clothes and apparel, I put $50, and games is at $20. Activities is things like rock climbing and all that. I think about $50 a month is pretty reasonable. And pet. And why pet at $0? Because I am manifesting, like I really want to get a pet. I want to get a dog. I want to get a golden retriever one day. I don't think I can get it, so maybe I'll settle for like a corgi or something else. I really want to get a dog, so like I'm manifesting it and I'm putting it there because I will have to factor that into my expense, and I'm just like manifesting it right now. And then we move on to our fixed variable, and so I have like subscriptions. Subscriptions are like, Notion is one of it, my DaVinci Resolve, Cloud, and Descript, Canva, a lot of work related things, and like Disney Plus and Netflix, all those go under subscription, and Spotify. My parents don't need an allowance yet, but again, I'm manifesting for the future where I will need to, and I'm keying it in at $0 right now. Same with mortgage and car loans. And we do have one employee, remote employee, and we're paying him $1,000 every single month. And so once we divide it by 2, that's about $500 each from me and Sarah. And then we also, or at least I plan to sign up for Virgin Active, and it's going to be $193 a month, and so that's going to be fixed as well. And so that's roughly my budget for variable and fixed expense. All right, now comes the really interesting part, which is the savings portion, right? So it's already keyed in here, right? But let me just like zero it out because I roughly know the numbers already. Now, the savings portion is kind of interesting. So you have your yearly savings and monthly savings, which is a formula which is calculated by taking your yearly income minus your total expense, which has been calculated through this and this, right? So we already know roughly how much I'm going to be spending. And so right now, I have about $99,000 to save. And the question is, what am I going to put it into? And so this is where we start to assign it. So let's say I do $4,000 every single month. Where am I going to put it to? For my housing fund. Right, and as you can see, 8% of my savings has been used. And that's incredible. So this helps you optimize how much money you are saving. So I know I need $4,000 for housing fund. I'm going to put $4,000 into the company, so I won't be taking it out. And now I have already done like 96% of all my savings, which isn't good, which is why I'm kind of short, and so I can only put about $200 every single month into my investments, and I am kind of like maxed out. And so with this, I only have like $1,000 left that is unassigned, and that's for the entire year. So I need to be careful. And so what this saving projection allows me to do, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so maybe it'll be easier for you to see everything. What this projection allows me to do is to help me figure out how much money can I take out every single month and dump it into something like housing fund or company fund or emergency fund or investment fund. I know that my emergency fund is $0 and Sarah's going to kill me, so maybe I'll put like $50 a month first so that she doesn't kill me when she sees this. And so I got to build up my emergency fund anyway. And so like this kind of helps me figure out, right? Like if I have $12,000 that is coming in, so if I have an estimated of $12,000 every single month, then if I have an estimated $12,000 coming in every single month, how am I going to split my money and budget accordingly? And as you can see, my monthly expense, and so as And so you can see that my monthly expense is about $3,700. It's not the cheapest, I know, and a lot of it is because of my travels that is eating up a lot of my budget. So my estimated expenditure is almost $3,700 every single month. And a lot of that is from the travel and wedding. And so this is how I do my financial projections. Let me just zoom out so you can have like a better view of things. And this is my 2025 financial projections. Let me head back to the camera and talk to you guys again. All right, so I am just done recording that portion that you guys just watched. And so that's my 2025 financial projections. Like, I totally understand that it's not so easy to budget. I hope that me sharing helps inspire you to kind of figure out how to budget and an easier way to budget. Because I find like whenever I try to set budgets, it's always very confusing. Like, how much do I budget? And then like I chuck into savings and everything. It doesn't seem very clear until like you do a full projection where you figure out how much money you're gonna make, and then you think about what you're gonna spend first, and then you break it down. This way just allows me to feel very confident that when I take like $4,000 and chuck it back into the company, I know that, hey, I'm not going to starve and I still have $450 to eat food every single month, because it's all about the 3 M's, right? Like, we learn how to make money, we learn how to manage money, and then we learn how to multiply money. And I love the multiplying money part, which is the investing and trading. I also love the making money part. But the part where I personally fall short in is always the managing money, which Sarah is just a lot better at, which is why she handles most of the finance related to our work. And so this year I'm going to try to focus on learning how to manage money as well. And the way that I would use this is every single month I would go back and think about, hey, does the budget make sense based on my projections? And looking at history, is my projections correct? Like, is the money coming in a way that my projections would make sense? Now, this is very important for me as someone who is self-employed, because my money is not coming in very consistently. So every couple of months, I need to look back and kind of rethink whether or not this projection makes sense. If for whatever reason, I'm not able to hit that amount, or my client decides to drop me and my financial projections drop, then I need to shift my savings, right? So from maybe $4,000 to housing fund, I may have to drop it to $2,000 a month, or maybe I pull it back from the company fund, and I can do that by updating the spreadsheet over there. I will try my best to run through my financial projections and update them every single month to see how things are moving. And if you have any questions, do drop them down in the comments below. I hope that this was helpful to you. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how we manage our finance as well, do drop it down in the comments below. I am in the middle of editing a video that kind of explains where the $12,000 comes from. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that as well, you can let me know and I'll break it down a little bit more. 2025 is going to be a busy year and a lot of work. Subscribe and you'll see me on here a lot more as well. Cheers.